Welcome to a family art workshop presented by WheatonArts. Today we are going to be creating flowers out of pine cones. The required materials include pine cones, gloves, gardening scissors or shears, acrylic or spray paint, satin or gloss polyurethane spray, paintbrushes or foam brushes, optional floral wire and wooden stems, a hot glue gun and glue sticks or an E6000 brand of quick drying glue, and a paper plate to use for the paint. Begin by gathering your pine cones. You're going to want to select pine cones that are fully open for a more natural petal-like appearance. The pine cone should have a rounded shape rather than an elongated one, which will better resemble a flower. And if your pine cones have dirt or are closed, place them on a foil-lined baking sheet and bake them at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. This will help your pine cones open up fully. Next, we are going to cut and trim our pine cones. Be careful doing this step as they can be challenging, and I am wearing gloves for extra protection. To trim the base, use wire cutters, pruning shears, or heavy-duty scissors to carefully snip off the bottom layers of the pine cone. Cut just above the widest part of your cone's base to create a flat surface, and this will allow your flower to sit correctly when displayed. And if your pine cone is thick at the bottom, you may need to trim a few layers upward to get a pleasing shape. And if you are looking for a more rose-like appearance, remove additional layers from the bottom so that the cone has a wider, more open look at the top, but if you prefer a more daisy-like shape, leave more layers intact and focus on evenly trimming the edges. Now it's time to shape our petals. Look at the pine cone from above. This will be the top of your flower. If the outer petals or scales seem too large, you can carefully snip off the tips with scissors to give them a softer, more rounded look. And for this first flower, I am making cuts to almost all of the layers, making sure that each layer is still taller than the layer above it. And while you are trimming your pine cones, cut in small sections and check frequently to avoid trimming too much. And for the second flower, I made an additional cut to the top of the pine cone and trimmed the center to make a more circular shape. I then focused on making sure that my flower had a couple of layers of even-sized petals. Keep trimming and cutting your pine cones until you have as many as you want and you are happy with the way that they all look. Now it's time to paint our pine cones. You can choose a solid color, blend an ombre effect, or use a dry brush technique for a more rustic look. You can also use spray paint at this step and/or a satin or gloss polyurethane spray. Let the paint dry completely before handling and before moving on to our optional next step. If you are creating a bouquet or floral arrangement, attach floral wire or wooden stems to your pine cones. Wooden stems can be created using thin dowels or sticks. I personally cut a long piece of floral wire, folded it in half, and then twisted it around itself to make it more sturdy. And to attach your stems to the pine cones, add hot glue to the base and carefully press the wire or stem firmly in place. I also added more hot glue on top of the stems to really seal it in. Thank you for joining us, and please be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel.